All right, good morning, students. Today we're going to look at the concepts about too broad, too narrow, and main idea. These are the three questions that you see each week when you have your uh, passage in advisory that you get from your teacher. And these are the first three questions, and they seem to trip up a lot of students, but believe it or not, they also are pretty difficult for adults as well. So I wanted to put together a short little lesson and quickly explain to you and give you a really useful tool to use in order to find which statement is too broad, which statement is too narrow, and which statement is the main idea. Now first, obviously, whoops, you can see that I put too broad is like too big, and too narrow, it's just a little detail. That's why I made the font small, so it's too narrow. And then the main idea is that perfect size. It's exactly what, I don't know why that's doing that, exactly what the author was meaning for you to take away from the passage or the article. It's their overall idea, it's their overall point of the passage. Okay, so this is a really helpful critical thinking bullseye, quote unquote, you can see down here, bullseye bubble. So as you can see, this orange around the outside is the too broad. So a lot can fit inside there. A lot of ideas, a lot of concepts, yeah, about a topic that the author is writing about. A lot of more can fit inside there. And then these little yellow circles are what's too narrow, so they're just the little details. And as you can notice, they're still inside the main idea. So don't be confused that even if you see one of the sentences, and even in fact the broad sentence is also true, the narrow sentences are still true. So even though the author may say that in their passage, it doesn't mean that it's the main idea. So don't let that confuse you. The main idea then is the overall point of what the passage is about. It's the perfect size, it's the bullseye, it's what you want to hit. So we're going to move on. So we'll come back to that slide to remind us. So to do this today, we are going to look at a passage called A Tasty Weed. And then down here are those three statements, A, B, and C. So I'm going to go ahead and read this. You can just follow along. We'll start up here at finding. So finding a meal in a field used to be common. Years ago, many people in this country had just come from Europe. They brought old customs with them, and they knew their plants. Often you would be seeing people cutting in a field. They had a bag in one hand. They had a knife in the other. What were they doing? Maybe this will surprise you. They were cutting dandelions. The dandelion is one of the most maligned of weeds. It is really a living supermarket. The leaves of the young plant are delicious in salads. The leaves can also be cooked. Whoops. We're right here. With beans, they make a hearty meal. Dandelion wine can also be made. The blossoms must be picked in the daylight. Here is why. The blossoms close at night. They do not open until the sun comes up. All parts of the plant can be used. Roots and leaves are used in medicines. Sometimes the juice is squeezed out. Other times the dry root is ground into powder. There is enough root to do it both ways. The root often grows more than 3 feet long. It grows best in soft, rich, sandy soil. There is also a way to play with dandelions. When ripe, the blossoms form a soft, white head. At the bottom of each white strand clings a tiny seed. Children pick the flower. They hold it in the stem. Oopsies. They hold it by the stem. Oh my goodness. Then they blow hard at the white head. The soft white strands float off. They are carried by the wind into the world. The dandelion was brought here from Europe. The early colonists brought it. They knew they would find a use for it here. All right, now we're going to go down, and remember the main idea is the M, and that's worth 15 points because that is really what the passage is all about, and the main one we want you to find. Too broad is what is too big. There's too much in that one sentence that you could write about a million different things because it's such a broad idea. And then too narrow, it's just a really small detail, and really you can't say anything else than what was said in that sentence. That's it. That's all you get. It's just one little detail. So let's look at letter A. Most often, the dandelion is used in salads. All right. B. The dandelion is useful in many ways. And C. Weeds can be tasty. All right, now it's our job to find which one is the main idea, which one is too broad, and which one is narrow. So get this graphic organizer in front of you. You will be expected to turn this graphic organizer in to your advisory teacher before leaving today, and you should have everything written down that we talk about, okay? So this graphic organizer was made specifically for the passages you are reading. So as you can see, there's statement A, statement B, and statement C. In those statements, you are going to write this: statement A, statement B, statement C. Do you see the cursor at the bottom? Statement A, statement B, statement C. So I know you don't have it in front of you, so I'm going to bring it up in front of you so you can write those in. And then in this second box down here, we are going to brainstorm about each sentence. Here, here, and here. Once we brainstorm, we are going to see the amount of information we were able to take from all those statements, and that will tell us if it was too broad, too narrow, or the main idea. So let's go ahead and look quickly at what the students did here. So statement A, and go ahead and write this down in your graphic organizer. Most often, the dandelion is used in salads. The dandelion is useful in many ways. That's statement B. Go ahead and write that one in. And statement C, weeds can be tasty. Go ahead and write that last one in. Now I'm not going to take it down any farther. I need to be careful because I don't want us to see yet which statements those are. But let's brainstorm each sentence. Now, if we had more time, we could probably make this a little more effective and do it all together as a group, but we don't, so this is what we got. So first, when we're brainstorming, I want you to write down every single thing that you think about that sentence. If it comes to your mind, write it down. It doesn't matter what it is, okay? So they said for statement A, most often the dandelion is used in salads. So the first one, a student wrote, why would you? Why would you put dandelions in salads? That was the first thing that came to their head. Second thing they wrote was decoration, maybe taste, which part is used, flower or seed. So does that make sense? You just brainstorm. You write down everything and throw it up on your paper. Go ahead and do that. Write those things that were written down. And now for statement B, the dandelion is useful in many ways. So let's think about all the ways it might be useful. What did it say in the passage? It said they used it in salads, wine, jewelry, decoration, scent, kids' games, snacks. And that's all they put. Go ahead and write down those brainstorming ideas on your paper as well. All right, and the last one, and you can abbreviate, it's okay. The last one, weeds can be tasty. Weeds can be tasty. Okay, weeds can be tasty. That's kind of short, but it seems like it would just be a detail. But let's think of all the ideas we could think about that one sentence. Weed can be tasty. So, weeds, let's think, dandelions. What else are weeds? Honeysuckle is a weed. Wild onions are weeds. Wild garlic are weeds. Catmint is weeds. Begonice is weeds. Clovers are weeds. Purple cone flowers, I've never heard of those, are weeds. Wild garlic, poke greens, poppies. They were brainstorming all the different weeds that can be tasty. So go ahead and write those down, as many as you can get in. Now, which of these do you think is too broad, too narrow, and which is the main idea? Now, I'll give you a hint. The one that does not have a lot of things you can brainstorm about is a detail. It's pretty small. You can't say much about it. The one that you could talk about a million different things about, that is too broad. You can talk about a ton of things. It can fill tons of information. It's too broad. The middle one is just right. It's the main idea. So you got it. This one over here is too broad. Look at all the things we can talk about. Any plant in nature, they even put at the bottom. Statement A, can't talk about a ton of things. It's too narrow. And statement B is the main idea. It's just the perfect amount. And notice, this is exactly what the author was saying. The dandelion can be useful in many ways. These are all the ways that a dandelion can be useful. That is exactly what the passage was about, wasn't it? All right. So that concludes the graphic organizer that I wanted to show you today. You'll be expected to hand in this one that we just wrote about, and then I want you to try, it is kind of tricky, but I want you to try and use this graphic organizer on your passage today. And that will also have to be turned into your advisory teacher before you go. So you will need to turn in 2, okay? 2. I wish I could write a 2 up here to show you, but pretend my cursor is doing it. 2, okay? Hand in both of those graphic organizers, and hopefully that'll help you get those correct this week. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. Great job, guys. Keep up the good work, and we will see you soon.